We are live. Hey, everybody. Fantastic. Thank you for coming on board this morning for Weddinar. We're going to have a lot of fun with everything this morning. I'll just give it a second for everyone to jump on. Beautiful. Welcome, 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 everybody. Now, this morning we have been seeing a lot of changes in the wedding industry happening. We're sort of like sitting on hold going, oh my gosh, is something going to happen? There's so much going on in social media with people going, we are going to launch no matter what. I kind of think it's like a big bit of change. So I thought I would just grab some wonderful people here this morning to have a chat with us about what they're doing in the wedding industry. So we have Syvia from Ooh-Aah Invitations, who is going to be sharing what she's been doing this week. We also have Anthony from Trippas White Group, who we chatted with last time about their venue, the Sydney Opera House. And we have Nadia Duran, amazing international wedding planner, stylist, and extraordinaire. Now, guys, I'm going to sort of kick off this week by... I don't know if anyone read and actually pop it up in the chat if anyone did and you guys were crazy enough to read my long emails that are like just a verbal, diatribe of what's going on in my mind. Has anybody else watched Doctor Strange? Like, I swear, if you read my long email this morning, I was like, it is so weird when like the universe just talks to you and tells you just exactly what you need to know. So here's my newest favorite superhero, Nadia. I'm glad that you love Anthony. That's wonderful. What was really cool was he's a superhero who became a superhero because he was frustrated, and he was a doctor who had been always healing people, and he knew what his superpower was. He was a healer and a surgeon, and then suddenly that superpower was taken away, and he thought that what his meaning of life was gone, and he was fighting it and trying to come up with ideas and bashing his head against a wall, trying to learn more, trying to force the situation. And really what it took in the end was almost like surrendering and realizing that, there are some powers in the universe that I can't control, and I need to go with the flow if I'm going to basically take my journey to where I need to be next. And I feel as though I was exactly that person this week. I was getting so frustrated. I was like going, okay, I'm going to do this. No, I can't do this. Maybe I should, I can't write a plan. And I found myself just spinning in circles and doing nothing again. So I am going to this time surrender myself to the universe and be less prepared and just kind of see where we go. Nadia, how are you going, Dal? I've seen your social media going like berserk this week. You have been TikToking, you've been launching YouTube channels, you have been all over Instagram. What have you been up to, girl?
All right, I'm back.
Yay!
I felt I was dead the whole month of March and April, and you had me on your first webinar, and I was very honest and raw.
You're amazing.
And I went and asked for help because I was struggling. I didn't have the motivation to get up from bed. I couldn't even sleep. It's not that I was sleeping. I was just staring at the ceiling thinking, what am I going to do with my life?
Mm-hmm.
So I felt totally broken, lost, and dead. So I went for counseling. I did a month and a half of therapy with this counselor, just to help me understanding the new beginning, acceptance, and realizing how beautiful life I have and how blessed I am, even though I'm just at home and doing nothing and just waiting for this world to change. So once I started realizing all these beautiful things that I have in life, I just started coming back to life. And it was just like, boom, I gotta do it. I am Nadia Duran. I am not going to let fears to stop me. I'm not going to let fears to set me back. I have to continue moving forward. So I started calling my team, and I said, guys, I know we're not working, we're not doing weddings, but let's get back together. Let's bring our creativity back. And we have been working on our socials, on our presence, without thinking, what are people going to say? I have to tell you that every time I was posting a photo on Instagram, or I wanted to do a post on Facebook, I was afraid, what are people going to say? Are people going to like it? Are people going to double tap? How many people are going to see it? And I will post something and my hands will start sweating, and I will be feeling so like anxious, and I will be checking the post if it had so many likes. I stopped that.
Oh, yay.
I am going to post what I am doing because that's who I am and that's what I can offer to my clients. And I'm going to be very honest and very transparent. This is what I can do. If you like it, like it. If you don't like it, it's all right. It's okay. There's so many other planners and so many other designers. So I've been working on a schedule. So I have my team together. We have now a whole schedule for our Instagram post. The last wedding we posted was back in July. Can you believe it?
Wow.
We have 7, 8, almost 10 months of weddings that we haven't posted, weddings and events. So now we put a whole calendar together and you will see me on your feed every day, twice a day, because we need to get back to those weddings that we haven't posted and tell the world of what we have been doing. Then I also started my YouTube channel. Please come and see it because it's going to be a very beautiful YouTube channel. My idea is to help people plan their weddings.
Beautiful.
And also help other planners to use my links to help their clients. For example, we are doing one episode on invitations. How to choose invitations. What are the things that are very expensive on invitations? How many invitations to have if you're going to have 400 people at your wedding? So very simple questions that people Google. These episodes are going to have all of those questions, and then planners can send it to the clients before they go and choose invitations so they are well prepared. So I'm working all of these. It's very informative. At the same time, I was spending 1 hour on TikTok before going to sleep and looking through these funny, stupid videos and thinking, oh my God, I gotta be there, but I don't wanna look stupid. I don't wanna be a fool because that's not Nadia. I am very professional. I am very passionate. I travel the world. I put beautiful events, and that's what I wanna share. So one night, when I clicked in my mind, this is who I am and this is what I want to tell the world. 4 nights ago, I went on TikTok and I opened my account finally, and I started putting videos of my events. I grabbed 5 photos, put them together, added trendy music, uploaded. 1,000 views, 2,000 views.
Wow.
In 4 days, I have more than 1,000 followers on TikTok, and it's just going great. People started sending me messages. I love what you do. I love the destinations, and that's it. So even though I don't have any weddings happening, being present is the most important thing. And that's what I want to tell and share with everybody. You don't need to be doing weddings to be present. You don't need to be doing weddings or events to tell the people that you are alive. So don't be afraid. Start scheduling, ask for help, and let's keep going.
Okay, Weddinar over, guys. Mic drop. Okay, I'm inspired. I'm ready. Okay, bye. I got stuff to do. I got to go post on TikTok. Oh my God, Nadia. Whoa. Okay, but no, seriously, that is like such fantastic advice. And I know I've just seen you. You're like, your beautiful face is like all over my feed this week. And I think it is like you're doing such a great job, and it's finding that hard, that fine line between being inspired and not comparing yourself. You know, like it's so easy to compare yourself to what other people are doing and fall into that trap, which I know that I'm an absolute sucker for. Syvia, tell me, what have you been up to?
Oh, so we had our last wedding in March. Our next wedding will be in September. We were initially like, okay, what's happening? April was an absolute nightmare. We were just like, we've never seen anything like it. Our sales dropped, I think it was around about 90%. So we had to actually pivot and change our business. We actually started producing cards, and that has helped so much during the time. We started with, obviously, I don't know if you guys saw, we did an Eid collection because it was the end of Ramadan.
Yes.
So that took off really well, and we just focused on projects that, you know, we always said we would do, but we never had time because we were always doing our wedding invitations and prioritizing our clients. So when April happened, it was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call for us to get all of our processes in order. It was a wake-up call for us to start thinking, holy moly, what are our clients going to do when they start rescheduling? Are we going to have a double up and a backlog of wedding invitations to be produced, obviously? And we sort of split our clients up for the COVID brides who were directly affected. And then we started thinking about our future brides. So that's the post-COVID, I guess you would start calling this a 2021 anxious bride. So this group of clientele is quite unique because they want to continue the planning process. They want to reach out to suppliers. And this is the reason that we're sort of opening our doors in a couple of weeks. These clients are there, they're wanting to get to know their suppliers, they're wanting to lock us in for next year.
Definitely.
So what we've been doing is we've been getting those leads through, we're nurturing those clients, and even though they're not making the deposits straight away or, you know, deciding on what they want, we're there for them. So, you know, we're obviously communicating to our clients that, God forbid, if something happened next year, COVID had a second, third wave, and we have to reschedule again, what are our client options? So, you know, it's all about communicating that clearly to the client. You know, the invitations is something which happens, you know, before everything else.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's the wedding invitations, it's the fashion, it's the rings, all the tangible things that our clients get before the big day. So naturally, if COVID's in the mix, our clients are going to be freaking out whether or not they're going to have to postpone. Is there going to be another financial outlay for the invitations? And if so, you know, what should I do? Or is my invitation salvageable? Can we change the date? So we're designing processes around that. We're designing, so for example, a client might come to us and ask for a wedding invitation. They want to put their monogram and the date of the wedding all over the envelope, all over the cards. What we would suggest now is to remove the date from the envelope, from anywhere that's not necessary. That way, if you need to reprint anything, it's literally just the invitation page. So, you know, we're designing, we're being agile, we're trying to just come up with all the ideas and make sure, you know, our clients feel comfortable in dealing with us and know that if something happens, we're still there for them. And it's all about that customer service experience that we need to like just up the ante on for 2021.
And Sylvia, I know a lot of companies have been pivoting and, you know, coming up with new ideas. So with those new cards that you created, how are you working out, or new innovations that you put in, how are you working out what's working, and how many of those are you going to continue with?
Absolutely. So during the COVID break, so April and May, I guess, were the quiet months, I decided to actually upskill my social media marketing skills. So we did a couple of courses and we started testing. So we got the photos done for our product. We uploaded them to Facebook and Instagram, and we ran an ad campaign. So we saw the results from the ad campaigns, which ones were actually generating sales, which weren't working. And then from there, we were able to upscale production on certain colors of some of the style of the cards, and also discontinue some ads which weren't working for us. So with Facebook ads, it's just been amazing. I highly recommend it to any business, as long as you know how to target and actually look for your market. It's brilliant. It's what's keeping everyone sort of afloat on our end. And making sure our word and our brand stays out there.
I think that's actually a really good point with Facebook ads. They work. It's not a like old school advertising where you run a magazine campaign and you like set and forget. You really need to do analysis of what images work, what wording works, and do lots of little tests and see what's going to hit, what resonates with your audience the most.
Absolutely. And it's all about knowing your channels. So for example, for us, Instagram is our #1 channel. So we really look at the stats, we look at the analytics behind it. We have a look at who's engaged with our content, who saves our posts. All of that sort of stuff we can actually see, and then we can use that data to make sure that, you know, we deliver content which is relevant for them, and also stuff that people want to see. You know, Instagram's just getting more and more complex. You know, they're not showing our algorithms as, you know, what we think. We're constantly having to change and learn. So I feel like, you know, with Facebook, you can actually pinpoint, you know, the age group that's following you. You can figure out, you know, their buying and their spending habits. So if you're a luxury market, you can target that, whether or not, you know, if you have specific things or specific interests. For example, with Ramadan, we looked at people who were engaged with Ramadan content. So all of these little things really help with getting that ad campaign out, getting your product out, getting your product seen by the right crowd.
That's fantastic. Now, Anthony, I know Trippas White Group started back seeing new clients this week at all of your venues?
At quite a few, yeah. So basically we've reopened 5 of our retail sites. So in terms of food and beverage outlets, And then we restarted site visits. There was a few as of last week, but the majority started as of yesterday, in particular Sydney Opera House. So technically, where I'm based at the Opera House, the venue is closed officially until the 29th of June at this stage. But in saying that, we've just had an influx over the last sort of 6 weeks of wedding inquiries. So, I mean, for us, the majority of the last year was probably 70% to 30% corporate inquiries to wedding inquiries.
Yep.
And it completely flipped on its head in the last 6 to 8 weeks, with wedding inquiries just bashing down our door effectively. Which is, I mean, it's a great thing. I can't complain against it. But to that, we've had to open up site visits as of yesterday afternoon. So it's been going good. It's been a slog, I will say that. It's been an interesting and very sort of learning 3 months. I can't believe it's been 3 months.
I know. I can't believe it's been 3 months. It feels really, really weird.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting. I'm going to throw this back to Syvia in a minute, but I want to hear your take on this first, Anthony. It sounds like next year is going to be really busy. Are you going to upscale your operations? Are you going to make more venues open? Are you looking at expanding the services you offer? Or are you going to just go, look, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing and what are your plans for the next 12 months?
I think realistically, yes, we are going to be busy. I think there's sort of two prongs to it. One, from a wedding perspective in terms of the capacity and the size.
Yeah.
Inquiries aren't like the diverse sort of range and style has completely changed. So we might have a 40-person wedding inquiry for one day, and then the very next day booking for 150 to 200. So the diversity of how many people are getting invited or coming to these weddings has changed. It used to be, the smaller numbers used to be, again, only about the 15-20% of the set inquiries. Now it's all over the gamut. So I guess the plus side is that all of our venues fit a lot of different ranges of packs. So we've got places like Esquire and Rain and the Sydney Tower and things like that, that obviously cater to smaller capacities, whereas Opera House and Centennial Parklands and a few of those other places go towards the larger scale. So I think it's more about finding the right venue for each bride and groom, to be completely honest, because we do have so much diversity in our portfolio. It's been interesting for people to literally inquire for one venue and not realize there's a plethora of other options that might fit their needs. So that's sort of one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is, whilst I do think we will be extremely busy next year, there is a piece, to Sylvia's point, about the nervous bride and or groom of 2021, which is probably more of what I've dealt with in the last 6 to 8 weeks than the existing COVID affected weddings. Again, I think the COVID affected weddings specifically were ready to move, and we're just thankful that they could just pick it up and move it across. Whereas the nervous or the unsure bride and or groom of 2021 just has no idea. I mean, we've seen some of the ramifications of the lack of information from the government and restrictions based on certain media posts and things like that as of yesterday in the last 24 hours. And some of the great work that things like Wedded Wonderland and Diane Curry have been doing with the Shadow Health Minister and things like that. But I think the lack of information in relation to those particular weddings has made quite a few nervous clients, and therefore it's managing those ones that have probably been the trickier part of it, and sort of re-educating them, and while still understanding their needs and their wants, sort of cushioning that information in an appropriate manner.
And I know, so what are you doing to assure couples that not only is it okay to book a wedding, it's also safe for your guests to come? And it's, you certainly don't want to plan a wedding now and then invite 100 people and 50 say, not yet. So are you doing anything to assure your couples?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a few different scales to that. I mean, yesterday I had a site and visit for a wedding that would like to have a wedding in August this year for 50 guests. So, I mean, look, we did the full site visit as if everything was normal, but obviously at the end of it, you have to say, like, currently we cannot approve this wedding. We might be able to, touch wood, but sort of laying down that information. But in terms of I mean, if anyone saw the last webinar that I was on, we've essentially attacked it in two ends. The first was creating a back-end operational plan, not only for us at the Sydney Opera House, but across all of our venues, which a lot of it was taken from our work in some of our retail outlets and hospitals and schools. So we've reconditioned that into a back-of-house operational plan, which is presented to all of our contracted venues, such as the Sydney Opera House, actually tomorrow, getting presented. And to the flip side of that, though, to reassure guests, we're creating a front-facing version of that document. It's easy to educate a client in the know, whether it's via Zoom, in person, on the phone, but it's a little bit harder for clients to not necessarily re-educate their guests, but reassure their guests.
For sure, yeah.
Bullet points, short facts, like information. So we've created a front-facing document that's in the process of being finalized so that they can pick and choose different operational elements that they could have in their particular event and how they can word it to their guests to reassure them to come.
That's perfect. And it's I think it's a great way to do it as well, because they need to have that information they can pass on to their guests. Going back to chatting about scaling up next year, I loved it. At the start of this, Syvia actually said to me, "Oh, you know, sounds like you guys are going to be busy next year. Are you going to scale up?" And I said, actually, we've been planning and we've decided not to. One of the things that we actually did a couple of years ago was we had probably our year of our highest sales ever. And it was also one of the years of our lowest profits. And the reason for that was that we are a very service-based industry. We're very labor intensive. So for every client, we need to have a large number of meetings. We need to see them in person. And for us, you book that one photographer to come on your day. So for us, we don't tend to subcontract out to photographers. They're out there, enlightened photographers. So I need to have them on my team on a permanent basis if I want to be able to manage to shoot more weddings in a day. So when we had a look back on the analysis of our sales results, we just went, you know what? The answer here isn't actually to scale up and shoot more weddings than we've ever shot before next year. The answer is to actually have a look at, like, one of the great positives that's come out of this is I've realized how low we can get our costs. We're going to look at keeping our rent really low. We're going to look at renegotiating our rent and decreasing of the floor space and the size of what we use. And we're going to be looking at what other operations we can actually have done by someone external rather than sitting in an office, being paid on costs and all the costs associated with having an employee there in the studio. So rather than scaling up next year, we're going to try and keep ourselves as lean as we possibly can, and so that we can focus on creating a great client experience rather than focus on all the bits and pieces of running a wedding. Tell me about what you've got planned for next year, Syvia.
So given the whole situation with March and April being super quiet, it actually gave us a bit of time to work on our brand new e-commerce site. So what we've noticed is with the double ups, with the wedding dates, there's more leads coming through. We've also noticed that some clients are wanting a cheaper alternative. So our brand primarily focuses on luxury weddings and luxury stationery, but what we'll be introducing next year is a range for affordable luxury. So it's going to be like a one step down from, you know, your premium over the top box invitation that we love doing, but it's also going to be still quite beautiful and affordable to clients. So I think adding those additional channels, we will be opening up, more job opportunities for designers and also production staff. So I feel like for me, next year, I'm going to have to need like an extra few pair of hands to help out. And we're also like mapping it out financially, minimizing where we can. But again, it's for our business due to the product, and it's also service-based. So I completely understand where you're coming from with, rather than increasing the amount of work coming through. For us, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be increasing the workflow, but we're also going to be adding a different channel and obviously adding a different product into the mix. So here's hoping that e-commerce works for us. We're so used to meeting our clients in store, talking with them face to face, walking through the whole process directly. But what we found in the last year, when everything was just starting to go really well and then COVID happened,
Yes.
we noticed that we were getting clients from all over the world through Instagram. So we've opened this market out to the world. And now we've got all these clients that want to book in. Australia has been great in the sense that COVID's on the way down, but you know, obviously internationally, it's not in a position where, you know, weddings are starting to happen just like they are here. So we're focusing more on the affordable luxury range online for Australia, and hopefully in the future, you know, our international clients will be able to have weddings again, and they'll be able to access that whole process. And then when this all happens, our back end will be running flawlessly. We're going to have the staff, we're going to have all the processes in place, ready to go and ready to handle the extra workflow.
I love that. And having that time we've just had at the moment to really get those back end processes in place. We've just been rewriting all of our automated emails. So I should say templated emails, but all of those touch points. So when everyone comes in contact with us, so they all get a consistent message. We've been rewriting those, updating with new images. And you mentioned then about additional channels. We're about to launch Enlighten business stories by Enlighten. So rather than, like you said, going out and having a lot more weddings that can only be done on a Saturday, that can only be done by a photographer, looking at where we do have capacity, which is during the week. And what the one key thing that I can see that Dean's jumped on this webinar too. Hey, honey, this is what we're going to be working on this week. I sometimes find that we fall into the trap, and we have done this in the past, of having an idea for an innovation and then jumping straight in. And we'll go, right, we're going to build this website. And we've tried to launch this product before where we went, right, we're going to do business photos for corporate clients. But then this time what's been different was we sat back and we worked out, okay, well, when is it that a corporate client needs us? And we realized that they don't just come to us for social media photos and things like that. They come to us when they're building their website. So rather than creating a website that is based direct to corporates, we've designed business stories to be a website that appeals direct to website developers, so that it then talks about developing a brand story and having photos that complement a web designer who is creating a brand story. So by really defining first who your market is, that can make a really big difference in the way in which you increase that product. But yeah, like I say, we sort of, rather than scaling up next year on just flat at what we're doing, we tried to look at where we have capacity, which is during the week. And also I'm just loving the whole education platform thing as well, which is just super fun. Now, Nadia, tell me, how is, you know, working online going for you? Are you going to be, I know because international is such a big part of what you do, and now you've got your platforms, and I can see it's growing and growing and growing. How are you planning to monetize TikTok and monetize your YouTube channel?
All right. Well, yes, international is changing. I had a few weddings. Let me just take a step back just to explain the whole content. But we had a few weddings booked for this year international. They have been moved to 2021. I still have 2 that are still scheduled to happen late in September and November, which I don't know if they would happen.
Yeah.
I said to the couple in September, look, we can still do your wedding overseas. I will oversee everything online because the team I have there are amazing. They're fantastic. I can definitely produce your wedding even if I am in Australia. And oh, we don't want to have the wedding without you. So if you cannot leave Australia, we're happy to reschedule to the next year, which is, you know, something incredible. And it gives me a lot of satisfaction at the same time that they really want me to be there. So I don't know what's going to happen with international, and that's why I couldn't just stay quiet. Now, one of those weddings that we were going to do overseas, we brought it back into Australia. Right. It was in Italy, and I said to the bride, let's try to get as much money back as we can because we couldn't get all the deposits back, and she understood. So now what we're going to be doing is using all of that money and that budget that we had into one day overseas. We're going to split it into multiple days here in Australia. So we're going to do a destination wedding at home.
Love it.
4-day big party in a hotel, which is going to be great, and it's all going to be themed and decorated to the destination that was going to be. So that is how I'm going to continue myself being busy, still bring a whole destination. Now, how am I going to be making money off TikTok and YouTube? I hope with YouTube, I know there's after you have certain followers and certain amount of views, then YouTube start paying you money. Now, I am not doing this for that. I'm not doing them these videos to get paid by YouTube because I know it's going to take forever. The reason why I'm doing it is because I really want to be present. And the reason why I started it is because one of the bride that I have her wedding in September, she said, Nadia, when I was searching for the planner and designer to do my wedding, I was looking on YouTube for amazing destination weddings, luxurious destination weddings on YouTube. And she said, and you never came up. But one day I was on cable TV and I saw that someone was broadcasting a wedding that you were doing in Europe, and it took my attention. So I was lucky, right, that she saw me on TV that day. So when she told me that, it was like, my God, I gotta be present there, because if 1 billion people are on YouTube every day, if YouTube is the second most viewed and visited page, I gotta be there. So that's the reason why I'm doing it, not to get paid by people who click on look at my videos, but to be present and to get future weddings. And I'm doing this now, not for 2021. I'm doing this for 2023 or 2025, because the videos and the content that I put there is going to be valid for many years to come. And as I said, my idea of doing these videos is to be very informative, 5-minute videos, so that the content is very relevant for people who are planning the wedding today or in 5 years' time.
And are you editing those yourself, or do you bring someone in to do it?
It will be a mix of both. I definitely want to bring experts, because I am not an expert on photography. I'm not an expert in invitations or wedding crowns or wedding veils, for example. But I always take my brides to choose invitations. I take my brides to the photographers or to the gown designers, right? I have a general knowledge, but I want the experts to be with me. So in some cases, I will bring an expert into the episode and ask those questions, normal questions. And in other cases, it will be just me from my experience explaining. 5-minute videos, very informative, and hopefully everyone can watch those ones. Also, what I'm doing, during COVID, I discovered a market that actually feel bad to say it, because I am Mexican, I'm Latin American, I speak Spanish, but I never explored the Latin American market for some reason. I always focus in the Middle East and Europe and Asia, right? I don't know why I never look into Latin America. Now, during COVID, I've been invited to speak at Wed Talks and International Bridal Week, and they are in Uruguay. I have spoken twice, and in both occasions, we had more than 1,000 people watching from all over Latin America. So after I presented, and I presented in Spanish, and after I presented in one day, I had like 300 messages from people saying, this was amazing. I needed to hear this. Thank you for motivating us. Thank you for inspiring us. So my YouTube channel now is going to be translated with subtitles in Spanish.
Oh, great.
If you want to learn Spanish, just watch my YouTube.
I want to learn Spanish. I'll just come talk to your son. Like, he's got 4 languages going on. He's all good.
Yeah. And now TikTok, again, I'm not doing it for money now. I'm doing just to be present. And that is what we need to do now. People have asked me, what are you doing now? What if you don't have weddings? What if you 2 weddings that you have now, September and November, I passed you 2021. What are you going to do? I said, being present. Being present is the most important thing. Being relevant and being present. And that's why I say, I really thank you for inviting me to your webinar today, because it gives me an opportunity to be present and speak to people.
Oh, it's amazing, amazing. And I love it too. I'm a big fan of always serving. And sometimes I find myself getting caught up in wanting to tell people what I want to tell them, and instead of thinking about how can I serve and how can I better provide great service. So I love that, being present, and it is fantastic. Now, Anthony,
sorry, I'm going to jump in on that. I think there's a huge key piece of both of your points on that, because I mean, Nadia, you were just mentioning that bride and groom for September. If you're not there, it's not happening. So we're picking you over our however many hundreds of guests. That's a huge statement right there. But at the same time, there's an element about servicing. We're all here for servicing our clients. We wouldn't be in this industry if we weren't. But I think one of the biggest things people are looking for and sort of craving right now is that personal experience we've always been giving the entire time, even more so than ever. And I think it's a mixture of, to be completely honest, it's about the honesty and the truth of the situation that we are currently faced with. Yes, we don't have all the answers, and yes, like, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but at the end of the day, that's always been the case. It's just now we're talking about it in the context of a pandemic. But I think being, to your point, Nadia, being present, but being completely honest and truthful and upfront with your clients, whether they're potential clients, existing clients, future clients, whatever. I think that's going to be key, especially in the coming, like, for the rest of time, but also in particular these coming months as restrictions are easing and things are changing and all these things are just chopping and changing with venues and suppliers and all that kind of stuff.
See, and being honest and authentic, I mean, it's something that I think the younger, I mean, God bless, I'm now on the wrong side of 40. I'm not my client anymore, and I have to remember that. And they, you know, authenticity and honesty has been really important to them for a long time. If we're not our client, do you have any advice, Anthony, on how we be more authentic and honest? Like, is there something, is there a do and a don't?
I mean, for me, I can't speak to, I will say, oh, can we swear on this? I don't know.
Yeah, go for it.
I found myself, and I'm unabashedly unashamed of it anymore. I used to be, but I'm just a no bullshit kind of person. Like, yeah. And that's why I work in the industry that I work, or sorry, the sector I work in, which is venue management, team management. I lead a team that does the sales, does the planning, all that kind of stuff. And I am happy to be engaged with clients and sell them the dream and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, if you don't love what we do, go somewhere else, because what you want is what someone else does great. Like, it's one of those ones I am not one to sugarcoat it at the end of the day. Like, again, I think being in COVID has probably strengthened that even more so. Mm-hmm. Sometimes maybe to my detriment. I can't speak to that. But at the end of the day, I think for me, it's just literally being honest. Like, I get it. I've had some briding grooms that don't love me, but that's why I don't personally always do weddings. I have a wedding team for that, because that's what they're there for. Nadia does what she does amazingly, but I could never do what Nadia does. Yeah. But I could sell Nadia and her team the venue and all the suppliers that come with it. But I think there's a piece to that, and a sort of accepting what you're amazing at. And to Nadia's point, if you don't know, bring in the people that do know, sort of relying on the people and their expertise. I think, yeah, I don't know if that even answers your question. I'm sorry. Like,
no, it is. It's almost like back to that first part of rediscovering what your superpower is.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
true.
Don't try and be everything to everybody.
Can I say something about superpower? Yeah. You know, when I speak at conferences and people said, "Oh, I got really related to what you said," I tell the story of a superhero, and we all superheroes, because if you look at the story of a superhero, it was someone who was neglected, or someone who was suffering, or someone who had struggles, and then slowly started discovering that with effort and persistence and passion could change those things that were bothering him and completely change the cycle. And it's exactly the same for all of us in the wedding industry. We are superheroes because we have discovered that needs and those problems that need to be solved and need attention, and we're passionate about it. So we all superheroes, everyone who is in the wedding industry.
Oh, I think that is definitely true. I think that's definitely true. If you got any thoughts, Syvia, I just want to make sure I've got you coming in on the conversation as well. Anyone who wants to jump in, feel free. Oh, and I should say as well, anyone who's watching, if you have any questions or if you have any thoughts, just make sure in the bottom corner that you change the drop-down menu to all panelists and attendees, and let us know if you've got any questions in there, if you've got any thoughts.
I think that we are all in a business of love, and it's a high-stress industry. Yeah. It's very emotional. It's an emotionally charged industry. And I just feel like for all suppliers right now, we just need to step up the whole customer service game. We need to be, 110% where we can to give the customer the assurance, the feedback, like just hold their hand even more if it's possible. Like just hug that client and well, not hug, I guess in COVID times, socially distance, emotionally hug.
Kiss.
Yeah, we have to be there for them. Like we need to put ourselves into the position of the client, into the, like, not just generational positioning where you were saying that, we're not the age of our clients anymore. We're all a bit older.
No, you guys are fine still. It's just me up here.
Oh, I'm dealing with clients that are much younger than me myself. I might look young, but I'm not. I just feel like I have seen the other side where the clients have come to me, they're emotional, they're sad, they've just received news from, it's not you, Rach, it's like a photographer that's charging for, change of date, just all of these extra things which are piled onto the already stressful part of wedding planning. And naturally, the bride is going to take that emotional baggage to any supplier that is going to be doing something where they're actually going to have a physical, tangible output before the wedding date. So that's like, I think I hear a lot of the wedding stress. I see a lot of the wedding stress. And I did see it on one level before COVID, and now with COVID, it's just another level altogether. So if there are more wedding suppliers on here, if I can just encourage that whole customer service experience to be elevated, and for us to just give 110%, I'm sure, the brides are going to feel more comfort in doing business with you. And, it's an on-flow effect. So it's the most important day of their life. We need to just make it that, and make sure we don't give them an excuse not to give us a 5-star Google review.
Do you know what? I actually think this is probably something that, coming from the photography side of it, is something that we've had a lot of experience with. You mentioned then that they can have a problem with one supplier and they tend to carry that onto you. Obviously with photography, everyone else is finished. The flowers have been finished, the venue's finished, the dress is finished. So the photography tends to be the last thing that they see. So if there has been an issue along the way, often we'll hear about it. And then that can sometimes turn into, oh, I'm not happy with this photo of the cake. And then suddenly when you start to ask the questions, it's actually not the photo that's the problem. Yeah. It can sometimes be the cake. If you are having areas like issues in this area, I would encourage you. Last week's webinar, I tried doing it on IGTV. And it was actually focused on the 3 areas that we focus on to ensure that, dealing with client complaints. So first of all, prevention being the way in which we educate couples up front on the procedures and what to expect. And then also the main one being how you can take someone who is sad or potentially has an issue and then look at that as an opportunity to turn them into a raving fan. I know these days it's called a tribe or whatever other language it wants to be used. But I had one girl this week who literally came in and has had a lot of problems with her venue and was sitting in tears 3 times. She cried over the course of looking at her pre-wedding viewing photos. And by doing nothing other than just holding her hand and listening. And Anthony's point about you can't solve, you don't know all the answers. I can't say, oh, look, hang on. Yes. Ding. You can now have a wedding for 100 people. Like there's no answer that you can provide, but in the same way as when you've just broken up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend and then you tell your best friend about it, your best friend can't fix it, but just by telling them your story and having someone listen to you and empathize with you, it goes a really, really long way. And, but yeah, I would, if you're having any troubles in that area, I would encourage you to have a look at the IGTV that's on the Rachel Enlighten Instagram, because it went into a lot more detail in there.
I couldn't agree with you more there, Rach. I mean, honestly, in the world not only the COVID world that we're living in, but what we've seen in the last few weeks alone, I don't want to get into a deep dive about it, but in terms of there is being a supplier, yes, we're all suppliers, but there's also being a human being. And I think that it's not necessarily a separation, but it's like, it's choosing your moment at the right time to do what is right. Yes, we have had I mean, for us, we have had certain brides and grooms come to us and they've lost their original venue and they're looking at new venues, or they didn't have a great ending, shall we say, or treatment at their existing venue, so they're working with us now, but or someone else. But at the same time, I think there's also there's the hat we always wear as our supplier, but then there's also taking off, and I'm also Anthony, and I'm here as a human being, talking to you face to face, like, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, at the moment we can often, like, it probably is going to be for a little while, the same concerns. So don't even wait for the couple to bring it up. It's okay to come. Like, I love the book that you're putting together, or the document, Anthony, where you're saying, look, this is how you can help your guests feel COVID safe. Don't wait for them to say, oh, I have this issue. If you jump in ahead of it, the same as the one big area at the moment is talking to couples if you are going to need to postpone. Obviously this was done a little while ago, but you know, we can guess what a lot of their issues are going to be. So don't even wait for them to come to us. Jump ahead of it and have plans in place, and you know, have that client experience already for them. Perfect. Well, I haven't had any questions come through. Were there any other areas that anyone wanted to have a chat about today?
Can I just say, Nadia?
Yes.
From the last time I saw you on the Weddinar to today,
Yes.
chalk and cheese, you are glowing right now. Like, absolutely, not literally, but like, glowing, I must say.
Thank you. I feel much better. I feel
like you've sort of refound your love again.
Yes, and it's okay, you know, to not feel good.
Yeah.
And it's okay to ask for help. And
I've had a couple of bad days the last few months, I tell you.
I want to say thank you, because after the last webinar, Rachel, I received so many phone calls of people saying, I'm here to help, I'm here to talk, I'm here to listen. And I really appreciate everyone who had supported me through the period of depression I had. I'm coming out and I feel really great. And it's okay if we don't have, I feel okay if I don't have any weddings or any work this year, because I know it will come back. So I am feeling great.
Oh, you're such an inspiration, darling. Well, thank you, Syvia. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Nadia, for today. So keep in mind that we do have the Weddinar group on Facebook, where we're constantly going to be uploading some information and resources on there as well. We've also got all the past webinars on YouTube, and I'm slowly trying to get them across to IGTV as well. I think I'm going to need to outsource something in that area. So if anyone knows a good person with video and editing, I bet that's my next step for this week.
And follow me on TikTok and YouTube.
Oh my God.
Subscribe.
Okay, so once you've followed Weddinar and subscribed, how did it go again, Nadia? Smash that like button, comment down below. Subscribe. Yeah, so jump on to YouTube. We've got all the past webinars there. And while you're there, you can jump on Nadia's as well. Nadia Duran. Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Take care. Look forward to seeing you everyone next week. Yeah, I know. Morning. It's not right without a wine, is it? It feels weird.
Have a cup of tea.
Yeah, let's do a cup of tea.
Strong
okay,
cup.
let's do it.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
Bye.